Right, good morning. Today's lesson is all about equivalent fractions and adding them together if they've got different bottom numbers or different denominators. So the concept will be if you had to add 1/2 and 1/4, then a half and a quarter don't really go together, but we know, don't we, that 1/2 is actually just 2 quarters. So what we're really doing then is converting a half into 2 quarters, and then we're adding that to the 1/4, so we end up with 3 quarters. These questions that you've got within the activity today are a little bit more complex than that. What will often be the case is that the two numbers that you have to add together, the denominators, that you have to change both of them. Now there's a really easy tip for that. I'm actually just looking at question number 2 now. So 2a is 2/5 plus 1/2. So we've got to add a half, adding on to 2/5. What we need to do is, well, we can't convert 2/5 into halves because 2/5 is less than 1/2. We can't convert a half into fifths because exactly half of fifths would be like 2.5 parts of that fraction, and we don't use sort of decimal numbers in fractions. So the trick is you need to multiply the bottom two numbers. So if you go for 5 times 2, that gets you 10, obviously. So you can work this sum out if you use tenths. So when we then think back, okay, it's 1/2 plus 2/5. Let's convert the half into tenths. 2 times what is 10? 2 times 5 is 10. Excellent. You do the same to the top number as you do to the bottom. So then we've got 5/10. That equals 1/2. So we kind of keep that. I would always be writing this stuff down if I'm you, or if I'm me working this stuff out. So you do that little conversion. You write down what your new number is. So a half equals 5/10. Fifths is a little bit easier to convert into tenths, isn't it? Because we're just going to double it. 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4. So 2/5 is exactly the same as 4/10. Now we can add those together. We've got a 5/10 and a 4/10. If we're just adding, and if the bottom number is exactly the same, we just add the top number as if it's just a straight up addition sum. So then we have 9/10 as the answer. And that's really the thing that we want you to practice today. That's what pretty much all of the activities are based on, is finding that common denominator for the bottom number, so that you can then add or subtract fractions, because as soon as your bottom number is the same, then adding or subtraction is super straightforward with fractions. Bottom number stays the same, and you just add or subtract the top two numbers. That's all. There's a little video on the website for the White Rose people to explain the method that they like, but that was the big tip that I wanted to give you before you move on. Have fun. Any questions, drop a comment and I'll see if I can get back to help. Thanks.